All right, I've got some new products here. The main one that I've gotten is this right here, the M1 Apple MacBook Air. Maxed out the RAM, so I went with 16 gigabytes of RAM on it. Unfortunately, didn't really fit in the budget. I wanted to go with 1 terabyte, but I went with 512. So just days after ordering the MacBook Air, I bought this item here, which is the SSL2 Plus from Solid State Logic. One of the things that never really quite caught on for me with music was being like an engineer. I'm more of a producer than I am an engineer, if that makes any sense. Now, I've had several audio interfaces over the years, stretching all the way back to the early 90s when I got my first 4-track recorder, which was a Tascam, which I still have today. And then I ended up getting the Roland VS1680 back in 1997. And then from there, I guess about 3 to 4 years later, I got the Mobile Pre-USB, I think it was called. It was an M audio device and it was great. I was actually very productive with that item. And then I gave it to a really close friend of mine so that he could use it for recordings, and felt that it was time for me to step up my game. And I ended up buying this other thing here, and I'm gonna show it to you because it's very important. I wanna tell you something about it. I got this item here, the Apogee Duet. And this is a Firewire 400 model. Other than the VS1680, which cost me right around, I think it was a little over $2,000 when I got it. It was something crazy. It was a lot of money, that recorder. But other than that, this was the second most expensive audio interface I've ever purchased. And let's just say it didn't really work out for me. I don't know if it's the breakout box that I ordered extra with it. I ordered this whole bundle. But I never really was able to get recordings to come out the way I really wanted them to. Oh my God, I can't believe I just forgot about this. I had a Zoom box or something like that, or M-Box. Anyway, it was Pro Tools, okay? So I had this little Pro Tools device, and it was the first of its kind. It's like a smaller version of Pro Tools. And that was kind of tough for me to work with. But once I got that Mobile Pre-USB from M Audio, it worked great for me. I didn't stick by my if it ain't broke, don't fix it thing. I decided to move on and go up to the Apogee Duet. Things did not work out with a Duet at all. I stopped recording and everything altogether, but not until I learned yet another lesson by dealing with Apogee, the Apogee Jam, okay? This is the most limited device I have ever bought to produce any kind of music with. It really favors the guitar more than anything. Yeah, it's basically useless because you can't plug in a microphone, you can't run vocals through it. So this thing just ended up collecting dust. I let a friend borrow it for a long time, and now it's pretty much lost its value. I don't think I could get anything for it. I might as well just donate it to a thrift store or something like that, or Goodwill. But anyway, so as you can tell, I've bought a lot of stuff. I've gotten a lot of gadgets for recording. Nothing seems to work out. I end up getting the SSL2 Plus, and I was very pleased at how easy it was just to get started and do that work. If any of you know what I'm talking about, any of you musicians out there who are trying to produce your own music and you don't know the first thing about, let's say, drum programming, which I know almost nothing about, but I would be better off buying a drum set and buying a bunch of mics and miking them up and playing the drums myself to a click, because I would be able to get a lot more done as far as beats go if I did that rather than programming the beats, because I am a struggling drum programmer. I cannot seem to get the right drum or the right beat machine in my life. I have yet to find it. The closest thing I've found to it is the beat sequencer that's in iOS. I finally get the M1 Mac after all these issues I had with the ordering process. It finally shows up. I was certain that everything was going to work out with the SSL2 Plus, so I didn't return it in time. So my return window closed, and you know where this is going. I plug it up to the M1 and it won't even recognize it. I reach out to Solid State Logic, they can't help me. They just sent me this weird email saying use a USB 2.0 or 3.0 connector on the M1, which I'm going to try in a minute, but I'm certain that won't work either. It turns out that if you use a USB-C hub with your M1 MacBook Air Pro, Mac Mini, or whatever, if you plug that in and then use the USB-C to USB-A cable that comes with that SSL2 Plus, It will work in Logic and in GarageBand. Just want to mention today's the 22-year anniversary of the release of Apple Venus Volume 1. If you have not listened to this album, I'm sorry, it's by XTC. If you have not listened to this album, I highly recommend it. XTC is my favorite band of all time. And this album came after a 7-year hiatus. It was really a 7-year strike. They refused to record any more music for Virgin. And they had finally gotten onto a new label, which was TVT, and they put out this album called Apple Venus Volume 1, and it was a 2-album set, but they released Apple Venus Volume 2 maybe a year or so later. Apple Venus Volume 1 is what Andy Partridge called acoustic or something like that. Don't quote me on that, but he had a really interesting name for it, and that's really what it's about. It's like totally different from any other XTC album. It's a really good, easy listening type of album. Easy listening, not to be taken out of context, if you know what I mean. But yes, it is unique in its own way. It's XTC being XTC, but doing it in a way that is very pleasant to the ear. My mom, who is no longer with us, she actually loved the album. I played it for her just to let her hear it. She just enjoyed hearing it. She really loved it. That makes it even more special to me. There is a link in the description below for you to check out Apple Venus. In the meantime, I am going to ask that you guys, if you have any questions about the M1 MacBook Air and how it works with recording gear, and you want advice from a novice, but someone who's used a lot of different gear over the years, feel free to leave it below and I will get back to you and give you the best answers that I possibly can. Once again, I appreciate you guys watching this video, and I will have another one out to you very soon.